Now, if for some reason you actually logged onto social media and perused the automotive groups over the past few months, you would have seen articles and videos shared saying things like Toyota's hydrogen powered car will destroy all EVs, or Toyota's ammonia powered engine spells the end for electrification, or Toyota CEO says EVs are not the future. Well, that's a whole load of bull because Toyota makes more electrified cars than anyone else. Case in point, the Corolla Cross Hybrid, which is a lot cheaper than the last Corolla Cross Hybrid. Of course, to get over 200,000 pesos off the old price, they had to remove a lot of things. But does that make it worse? Or does that make it the best hybrid bargain you can buy today? Let's find out. Now, to drive, the Corolla Cross is surprisingly unsurprising. This is basically the same Corolla Cross that we've driven in the past when we drove it in the past. So basically you get the 1.8G package with the whole hybrid system. So you get the taller tires, smaller wheels, and the lesser assists combined with the hybrid drivetrain. But you know, for 1.5 million, I can't really complain about a package like that. To drive, it's perfectly fine. It's relatively quiet, especially when the motor goes off and the hybrid's all charged up. And it handles pretty well. I mean, despite the tall tires, it does have a fair bit of verve when handling. It's not going to excite you much. I mean, not as much as some sportier crossovers do. It doesn't quite have the power for that. Even with the hybrid system, 0 to 100 kph improves from around 12 seconds with a 1.8 to around 11.8 to 12 seconds with the hybrid system. It's just about the same. But you do feel that extra electric torque, and it is kind of tickling, my senses every time I get on the gas, especially in power mode. The real big difference, though, is the fuel economy. The fuel economy is fantastic, where the 1.8G would get something like 6, 7, 8 kilometers a liter in traffic. This can get 14 to 16 kilometers a liter in traffic. And when you've got the batteries charged up, in mixed driving, you can do 20 plus kilometers a liter, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, we've done an eco drive in this, and with, pretty good driving, you can get nearly 28 kilometers a liter mixed. You can't really do that in a 1.5 million peso gasoline crossover. Did I say this was just 1.5 million pesos? This is, the Prius C was 1.5 million pesos way back when. It's been nearly 10 years, and this costs just as much for a much bigger car with more impressive power and more impressive fuel economy for the power and size. Now, unfortunately, this thing does not have adaptive cruise control or lane keeping assist. This being a base model, it doesn't even have regular cruise control or regular lane keeping assist, lane keeping warning, or blind spot warning, or anything. It does have proximity sensors and rear parking sensors, which kind of help when parking this thing because it's got a really tiny rear window, and visibility otherwise is perfect, but that rear window makes it difficult to park in certain places. So that rear camera is a big help, but that's about it for active driving aids. You do get a dash cam, front and rear, packaged with a car. So I guess, that's the extra security and safety. Like, you might have problems parking, but at least, if somebody backs into you, you've got proof that it wasn't your fault. Now, this year's Corolla Cross has not changed much from last year's Corolla Cross. In fact, I'm struggling to find any major differences in here. Now, there are variant-specific differences. Of course, this is technically the G variant, which equated to the lowest end variant of the previous model. So this actually gets leatherette on the steering wheel now instead of having just that plain urethane steering wheel on the old car, and you've got contrast stitching here on the dash, but you still have the plain Jane fabric seats and a lack of buttons compared to the higher end variants. Now, it's not typically a problem, but it's obvious that these blanks here on the steering wheel and on the dashboard were meant for extra controls. That said, there are not as many blanks as I dreaded there would be. This actually gets automatic climate control, and it gets rear AC vents, which we will see when we get back there. Now, you get some nice digitalization of the instrument cluster, but it's still obviously a base model instrument cluster. You still have the analog bezels, and you still get this sort of generic Toyota touchscreen. And it's kind of hilarious seeing the energy flow displays and all the hybrid displays on, rendered in what looks like Atari level graphics. Well, it's not that bad, but you know what I mean. Now, one nice thing about this sort of generic screen is it actually has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless Android Auto. So I'm connected to my phone right now and I have no idea where it is. This pairs well with the wireless charging pad right down here. So you can charge your phone while using Android Auto without having to deal with this tacky USB port on the screen. So at first I thought this was the only way to do it, but now that I know I don't need it, I don't have to use it. In terms of space, no surprises, it's still the same Corolla Cross. Decent elbow room, great headroom, decent leg room, and good ergonomics because you have a tilt and telescoping steering wheel, you've got good thigh support, good side support, and you've got relatively okay lumbar support. It's not adjustable and you don't have power seats, so you take what you can get. Now we can go to the back. Compared to last year's Corolla Cross G variant, we finally get AC in here, which is great. It's been so hot these past few months that it is a necessity. Everything else is mostly the same. You've got lots of storage options here. You've got bottle holders in the doors and cup holders in the armrest. You've got a lot of headroom. You've got a lot of elbow room, a lot of elbow rests, and you've got leg room enough to cross your legs. Although these being fabric seat backs, don't step on anything. Maybe remove your shoes before you do this, or maybe don't remove your shoes and let everyone else smell your feet in front of the air conditioning. It's not a good thing. Now, the Corolla Cross might not be the most exciting car to drive, but Toyota is trying to make it exciting to look at by giving it an all-new face. This face says, I'm electrified. I don't need no puny grill to put air in my engine. Of course, that's not the grill. This is the grill, and there's more grill down there. So it does need a lot of air because it still has a gasoline engine to charge up those batteries. That said, I like the idea of this hidden grill, this sort of 3D honeycomb structure. Makes it look really good, makes it look electric. It's really pretty and it goes well with these new projector headlamps. And it's kind of weird that they didn't give this to the GRS, which is the most expensive model, but wears last year's face. Still, it's a great looking front end, and that's about all I can say about the styling because nothing else has changed really. This is the same body as last year, same rear end, same rear taillights, same wheels as the last 1.8G. We were hoping, since this went up a bit in price over the old G, that we'd get the 18-inch wheels, but then again, these wheels and these tires, they strike a fine balance between comfort and performance, erring more towards comfort, so we'll forgive that. Now on to the pros and cons of the Corolla Cross. Pros, it is a hybrid. You can't get anything but hybrids, and Toyota hybrids are the best hybrids on the market right now. They have been for decades. It's got great fuel economy, and performance is just about okay. It also strikes a fine balance, again, between ride comfort and agility, and it has a lot of space compared to most of its competitors. On the con side, though, is it doesn't have a lot of toys compared to those competitors. This is the base model, so you will do without an automatic tailgate. You will do without leather or leatherette seats, but given this weather, maybe that is a plus. You will do without 360-degree cameras or adaptive cruise control or lane assist. You don't get any of those active assists, so if you are a sleepy septuagenarian driver, maybe this is not the car for you. But if you are a penny-pinching dad like me, this might just be the best bargain in hybrids around. At $1.498 million, this is the cheapest hybrid in Toyota's lineup. It's even cheaper than the Yaris Cross Hybrid. And there's not really anything in this price range at this size that gives you this much economy and this much space. Now, the closest possible competitor in terms of frugality is the BYD Atto, but that sits at $1.7 million. And I think that is probably why Toyota decided to offer a cut-price Corolla Cross to undercut the Chinese EVs. And it may work, because this is probably the most practical car I've driven in the past few months. It is not the fanciest, the flashiest, or the most fun, but then again, you don't buy Toyotas for fun. You buy them for family. And as Dom Toretto says, nothing matters more than family. And for family use, I can't give this lower than 8 out of 10.